Welcome to Kick Back with Chris. Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast.
Hello and welcome to Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast. Episode 30 is finally upon us. I've been building up to this one for a while now. It's actually Sunday evening as I'm recording this. It's nice and quiet, so I thought I wasn't actually planning to do this now, but it was nice and quiet. I thought I'd jump on and make a start on the podcast. So this week we're going to be joined with Andy Abernethy. Going to be having a good discussion. It's actually somebody that I met through Gordon Bircham at a couple of his events, and subsequently we've been chatting on Facebook. And I wanted to discuss with him his martial arts background. He actually has a history training in systems that aren't that widely known, but we'll be going over to Andy to have a chat with him a little bit later on. We're also going to be catching up with another Andy Crittenden, in our weekly chat, as well as visiting Mittmaster Matt for his chat, as always, one of the more popular sections of the show. So before then, I wanted to go through the various bits that have been posted within our podcast martial arts event promotion group, which is really hard to say. Really cool to see people making use of this again. Lots of posts about competitions and tournaments. I guess it's that time of year. So let's get through them super fast. So the first one was posted by Master Snow, who popped on to let us know about a couple of different tournaments that they've got going on. The website address, I believe, right now, I'm just gonna click on this just to double check. I believe it is the itsi-tournaments.co.uk, although that might be an L if it's lowercase. But anyway, give both a try. He's running two tournaments, so they've got both the Taekwondo Opens are listed as. It's the LTSI. Yeah, it says it on there, LTSI. It's just hard to see when it's lowercase. Taekwondo Opens, so they've got one on the 6th of the 10th, 2019, and the second one... actually, the first one, should I say, is the 3rd of the 3rd, 2019. Taking place in, hang on, I've got to say this right, Hertfordshire Sports Village. Wow, I managed to butcher that one, didn't I? Start that again. Hertfordshire Sports Village. These names again. De Havilland Campus? Sounds great. Mosquito Way. Hatfield, AL10 9EU. DEHAVILLAND Campus. So take from that what you can. Mosquito Way, another cool name there in Hatfield. So get in touch with Master Snow. I'm guessing if you look him up on Facebook, he will be able to point you to that. So both those are ITF-based tournaments. Next up, another tournament. We've got Mr. Dale Evans has popped on to let us know about the Open World 2019 Taekwondo Championships in Italy, of all places. Wow, so truly international now. 25th, 26th, 27th of October 2019. You can get in touch with them at the ITF Open World 2019 at gmail.com. And then Andy C's popped on to let us know about an event on Saturday the 13th of July. It's the Ippon Showdown, and the photo for this is really cool. It says a showcase of world-class martial arts talent. So get in touch with Andy if you wanted more information on that one. A bit of a teaser, that one, I guess. And then next we've got... Now, this is a pretty cool one, actually. Nathan's popped on, Urban Tricks Salmon, who we've spoken to in the past plenty of times on this show, who's a regular contributor as well, so thank you for that, Nathan. He's popped on to let us know about an event that's actually going to be taking place at the UK Martial Arts Show. So it's the UTX Forms Challenge. So there'll be everything there, weapons, forms. It's an online registration and it's open now, and that's going to be taking place, I say, at the Martial Arts Show in Doncaster at the Dome, May the 4th and 5th. If you go to www.project-gravity.com, I'm presuming all the details are going to be on there. But Nathan runs a pretty tight ship, guys, so if you're interested in getting involved, the individual individual category, £20, £15 for each additional. Teams are £30. So, good value on that one. But the full list of all the information is actually in the event promotion group. But if you get in touch with Nathan as well, obviously you'll be able to go through it all. Quite an intensive list there that I can't really read through all in one go. So the next one, Del Sampson's popped on again. The KwanMartialArts.com website again. The KGS Light Contact. I think I've actually mentioned this one before, but it's got a nice little video now. So it's the KwanGrandSlam.com. That's the address on there as well. And then finally, We've got, actually, no, not finally, there's two. One from Mittmaster Matt himself, just to let everybody know that his new kids kickboxing syllabus has launched. If you're interested in getting involved with this, there's a £50 discount on it. £50. Start again. 50% discount. So this is what happens when you record on a Sunday evening when your brain's fried. But yeah, 50% discount if you're interested in that. There's a Thinkific link for this one, but if you actually speak to Matt direct, he'll be able to get that sorted out for you. Brilliant online system, guys. I've actually been going through the adult version of this. Really in-depth, cool stuff. If you're looking to sort of switch up your syllabus a little bit, or maybe you're looking to just add a completely new section of training or classes to your school, this is a good place to go just for ideas, or you can actually just drop the syllabus straight in, switch and change to suit. So yeah, give that one a look if you're interested in that. And the last one, this is a cool one. Lucci Kaizen Show's been on, just to let everybody know that they're giving away 20 tickets to a club who does amazing things in their community. And it says here to nominate a club and the reason why they should receive the tickets. So, look, if you guys want to nominate a club, I'm happy to deal with that one and forward the nominations through to Lucci. Perhaps it's something we could actually do an announcement for on the show sometime, but if you want to pop onto our new Facebook like page, or indeed the old Facebook group, or just send me a private message, whichever, with your nominations, then obviously I can pass those on to Lucci, and maybe we could get him on and do sort of a live draw or something. That would be really cool. Now this weekend, actually this Sunday coming, I'm going to be with Mittmaster himself, Matthew Chapman. He's hosting an event called, I think it's how to get your 1,000 true fans. I've just probably butchered that then completely, in line with what I was doing earlier with my reading stuff. But let me just see if I can find it on here now. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so 1,000 true fans. It's February the 17th, so I'm going to be down there. So if you're interested in coming along to this one, guys, it's a good one. Whether you're running online courses or a podcast like myself, or anything that is involving building a sort of like an online network, definitely one to get down to. So it's Sunday, the February the 17th, 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. at the Waltham Abbey Marriott Hotel. So if you're interested in going, I'm going to be there. I'm actually planning on doing a little bit of recording as well whilst I'm there. So good opportunity for you to get involved with the show. So double whammy. So speak to myself, or obviously have a chat with Matt, and see if you get booked on. And it'd be good to see you all there. All right. So moving on. Now, we've not done this for a while. We used to do like a regular topic section where I would discuss various things that we've been talking on Facebook about, on social media or in person. And just due to the busyness of the shows with all the guests that we've had on, I've not done it for a while. But, those of you that have got me on Facebook, I've been posting just a few thoughts, things that have been jumping to mind, or stuff that I've been discussing with other people. And one of the things that actually came up it was a discussion, shall we say, was the subject of, now, I don't want people to get this twisted. It's not a discussion of price. It's more my perception of, at times, parents being, fleeced, I suppose, for want of a better description. I think that's a bit of a harsh description for it, but it's kind of what it is, I suppose. But I know some people, quite rightly, I suppose, have their opinions on charges and fees, what schools charge. I really don't take much of an issue with the charging side. Some people want to charge $350 a class, and some people want to charge $350 a month. I mean, you charge what you feel your value is, and obviously that's to each their own on that one. But what I was actually discussing was, I've noticed now, and this is not just my school, but others as well. When I'm talking to them, there seems to be, it's been creeping in for a little while now. But some schools are assessing, grading, graduating, whatever you want to call it, their students sort of upwards of like 5 times a year at over £30 a pop for a grading. Now, I know some of you probably now are rolling your eyes going, oh no, it's talking about me. I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but I just wondered, what people's thoughts are on it. Now, I'll be straight up honest. It's not something that I'm overly keen about myself because, yes, there has to be progression within martial arts, whether you do belts or not. But do we really need to be charging parents 30 quid, every 6 to 8 weeks for a new belt for their kids? That just, to me, seems to be a little over the top. And obviously with the industry being completely self-regulated, it's a difficult one. Now, within my school, in the beginner levels, the soonest that they can be put forwards to be assessed, if that makes sense, because we do a pre-grading system in my school, is every 3 months. But that is dependent on a lot of factors. One, they know the syllabus. Two, they've got enough classes in. If they don't have enough classes in, they're not even looked at from the point of view of knowledge of syllabus. So, yeah, which is a different subject altogether, that one, I suppose. But it does seem that there seems to be creeping in slowly. Or maybe it's been going on for longer than I realise, I don't know. But this thing of, 6 to 8 weeks, the parents pay, the kids sort of pass. There's no test involved, and I see this word or this term, graduation, sort of bounced around now as opposed to grading. Now, I suppose you could argue it's a word, what does it matter? But if it's an automatic process, then why is there any need for any progression? It sort of renders the need for any sort of progression to be a waste of time, really. If the assessment doesn't actually mean anything, But what are your thoughts on it? Maybe you think I'm talking absolute guff. But that's one of the cool things about this, the podcast is, and it's a website, the podcast is, there have been some occasions where I've had my opinion changed on stuff, and it's a two-way thing. So, if you've got an opinion on it, please do speak up, let me know. You can obviously get in touch via the website, the Facebook group, or indeed old-fashioned, you just get me on the phone if you want. No random turning up at the school, if you could, because that's always a little bit tricky. I can't really stop my classes to talk about podcast subject, but, joking aside, do get in touch. So, what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go over to our first guest of the show, Andy Abernethy, who we arranged to have a chat a few weeks ago now. Been trying to schedule things in, and we finally managed to make it happen. So, we'll go over to the interview now and enjoy, and I'll speak to you all after.
You're listening to Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast, brought to you by www.onlinekicking.co.uk.
Okay, guys, so it's that time of the show. We have our first guest on, Mr. Andy Abernethy. How are we doing today, sir?
I'm very well, thank you, Chris. How are you?
I'm very good. Actually, quite nice here today for a change. Sat in my little studio, not freezing my backside off for a change, so that's good.
It's nice here too.
Fantastic. I believe you're over... Is it Grimsby way?
Grimsby, yes.
Oh, it's not too far away. I'm up in North Yorkshire, so it's not a million miles away.
No, it's not too far. Yeah.
I actually grew up in Doncaster, so
right,
not that far away. Not that far away. Cool. So enough geography, because that's not my strong point, truth be told. Let's go back to the beginning, right back to the start. What got you into martial arts, and which art did you start out in originally, and when was it?
I originally started out in Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
You have to say Japanese jiu-jitsu now because there's that many different styles, like Brazilian and stuff like that. Yeah. So, I don't think Brazilian jiu-jitsu was around then, to be fair. If it was, it wasn't as popular. But yes, it was a Japanese style of jiu-jitsu, which is very, very similar to judo.
Okay.
But it was called Katho Ryu Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay. Yeah. And was that something... Had you had an interest in it prior to that, or was it just fate? You sort of, I know, like myself, I used to see people walking into a school dressed in the kit, and I was like, well, what's going on there? Was there a reason for it, or?
Yes.
Okay.
A reason that probably holds true with a lot of people today is I was bullied every day at school.
Okay.
I was a very thin, weak child. I had asthma, really bad asthma.
Okay.
From 5 years old, and there wasn't a lot of medication out then, like the inhalers are today. There wasn't a lot of medication to stop you from actually stopping the attack.
Sure.
So sports and things, really, I was quite bad in at school because I used to have an asthma attack, so it really wasn't very good. And then obviously I was then a nice focal point for a bully. So that's, I used to get bullied most days. So yeah.
Wow. So was it with the martial arts? And obviously you said you struggled with some of the more physical aspects at school with the different activities and stuff. So with the martial arts, was it sort of a combination of the physical training and the discipline training that sort of helped you with that, or can you pinpoint one particular thing?
I think what it was, and this is why when asthmatics come to my school now, I kind of embrace it, because what jiu-jitsu taught me to do was deal with my asthma better.
Right.
Be able to control it and carry on through. When I'm feeling as though I'm having an attack, try and carry on.
Okay.
And it made me more confident in my asthma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's more of a calming sort of confidence influence in that respect. Okay.
Yeah, because at school, like when you're playing football or rugby or whatever it is, when you're playing in the playground or in a PE lesson, you don't really get that support from the teachers. You're just having an asthma attack, and everyone's sort of laughing at you, going, "Oh, what's up with him?" Yeah. Whereas in the jiu-jitsu class, you kind of got supported and you got pushed as well.
Yeah.
So it made you break through the barrier.
Absolutely. So I suppose they kind of worked hand in hand, didn't it? So it was at that calming sort of confidence instilling aspect to it, which in turn allowed you to train harder.
Definitely.
So you kind of bounced off each other. Oh well, that's really cool to hear.
Exactly.
Really,
yeah.
Really cool to hear. So I believe moving on, obviously jumping forwards quite a bit, but I believe now you're teaching a system that some, if not many of our listeners maybe haven't heard of or are familiar with before. So I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit about it and its history.
Certainly, yes. Basically, I teach an art now called Kazurashi Ryu. I've been teaching it since the year 2000, so 19 years. And I was kind of hooked. I went on a few seminars with the then founder and chief instructor of the UK called Kirby Watson. And he used to go around teaching a lot of... he was the person that brought Kazurashi Ryu to the UK by inviting the instructor from the USA over, called Henry Villiers Sensei. And Kirby got to a level where he started teaching people in the UK. And he used to go around different clubs. He'd been to Grimsby a few times. I'd been on a few seminars and seen him. And I was kind of intrigued of how different the art is.
Sure.
It's basically what Kazurashi Ryu is. It's an art. It's a killing art. It's from the Japanese battlefield. And it's very traditional, very dangerous, very nasty, if you like. But when I saw it, I was kind of hooked, thinking, "Wow, this has got lots of things in it that jiu-jitsu didn't have, like striking, kicking. I mean, they're not dynamic kicks, but the kicks to just strike vital points of the body.
Okay.
So that's basically what our striking is. It strikes vital points, like the pressure points and things like that. So
sure, yeah, I was actually going to ask, if for some of our lesser experienced listeners out there, some people that we have, the listeners, just sort of casual fans of martial arts, don't actually train at all. And I was wondering, I was going to say, is that if you were to pick a system or a couple of systems that it was closest to, which would you say? Is that even possible? Can you say it's a little bit like this or a little bit like that? Or
what I can say, if it maybe points people in the right direction, Kazurashi Ryu is made up of four separate martial arts for the ease of learning.
Okay.
So basically, there's an art called Aiki Jujutsu, which is very similar to probably Jiu-Jitsu and Aikido together.
Okay.
And then it's got an art called Atemi Jutsu, which is the striking side. And at a certain level, the Aiki Jujutsu and the Atemi Jutsu are mixed together.
Okay. So
you're striking and throwing, striking and pinning. So we do like elbow locks, wrist locks, throws, takedowns, strikes. And then there's obviously the whole weapon side of it as well. We do all the Japanese samurai weaponry. So there's Kenjutsu, which is the bladed weapons. and Jiu-Jitsu, which is the staff weapons, and there's 3 different lengths that we work on.
Interesting stuff. So you're working at various different ranges then, distances with those different instruments and elements. Fantastic.
And you just hit the nail on the head there of the distancing. I mean, basically that's what the weapons is teaching you, is to master the distances of the weapon, which, you just said that. So, that's awesome.
Oh, God, I know what I'm talking about sometimes. or I'm good at making it sound like it, at least. No, it's cool. It's cool. So I guess it's an art, really, from what you've just described, that it's suitable for many different types of people. If you're going to struggle in one area, then there's this area you can focus on. Very, very cool. Yes. Very cool sounding. So, how many years did you say you've been practicing now for? Is it 19? Did you say?
I've been doing this particular art for 19 years. Yes.
Fantastic. Cool. So, at some point in that journey, I know that you decided to go full time with your teaching.
Yes.
And this is actually something, when I was talking to a couple of other instructors, because obviously we post the guests that we're going to have on Facebook and stuff, and it was actually just yesterday I was chatting to one of our other co-hosts, and he was mentioning, he runs a full-time school too, and he was mentioning he'd be interested to find out how you first found opening a full-time centre where the focus was on an art that perhaps the general public weren't as familiar with, and sort of what challenges you had and
wow,
yeah,
that is a really good question. And to be fair, it was one of these situations where, and you hear my business mentor, which I think we're probably going to talk about later,
sure.
Gordon, talk about this a lot. You have this vision, and you don't really know how you're going to get there, but you got this vision of where you see yourself. And I saw myself teaching this art. I don't really know who put the seed into my head.
Sure.
But I just saw myself teaching this art to the public and to kids. And basically, the art, as I mentioned earlier, is dangerous. So what I've done, I've developed Samurai Hearts, which is a child's version of Kazurashi Ryu.
Sure. Okay.
So what I did, I developed Samurai Hearts, and then I started teaching children just in a local judo club, and it really took off. I was basically doing what a lot of people weren't doing in the town. I was working in primary schools as well. I've been working in primary schools now, 12 years.
Okay.
And although people didn't know about the art, if I'd said I was teaching Kazurashi Ryu, I really don't think people are bothered about what the art's called as far as marketing is concerned.
Sure.
But I do feel that it has to be, they have to kind of understand what it's about. And if I'd said I'm teaching Kazurashi Ryu to children, they'd just gone, well, what's that? And probably switched off. But the fact I'd said it was Samurai Hearts and it's a child's version, and I kind of made it more understandable for parents to get a grip of. It's a difficult one because obviously I can't call it karate, I can't call it kickboxing, I can't call it because it isn't.
Sure.
And I don't want to false sell to anybody, so I just try and tell people exactly what they're learning.
Yeah, and selling on the benefits, I was imagine as well. These are the benefits that you can gain from this training, because I think a lot of people are looking for solutions to a particular pain in their life, aren't they, as opposed to necessarily an art. I mean, there are going to be those that are out there that are looking specific to train in specific arts, absolutely.
Yes.
But I think part of the trick is, all good instructors and school owners is, once they're through the door, is to educate them on what it is that they're actually learning. They go out looking for one thing in their head, and then they actually find out, well, actually, no, I'm looking for this.
Yes.
But when you mentioned there, you mentioned teaching in schools. I'm looking through your bio now, just so that listeners get a better idea. You've been quite modest there. So you're working in 18 primary schools.
Yes, yeah, we're working in 18 primary schools at the moment. Yes.
How on earth do you manage that?
Well, from my business mentor, I've learned to employ staff.
Well, yeah, there you go.
because it was killing me, to be fair. It was just too much.
18 primary schools.
Yes, yeah, we do morning clubs before school, we do after school clubs, we do PE classes during the day, and then we do our evening classes as well. So
you must have been spending as much time in the car as you were actually teaching. That's That's some dedication there, I must say. 18. So, how many kids would you be teaching then on 18 schools? That's
a lot of the schools aren't really busy. We've got about 12. It varies between 10 and probably 16 students in each school class. Okay. So they're not really packed. And it's enough for one instructor, you know.
But this is on top of the full-time centre as well, is it? This
is on top of the full-time centre as well. Yes.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, I've got my little school with just over 200 members. The idea of trying to do 18 other schools as well on top of that is just absolutely mind-boggling. So all credit to you to make it, for making that work, because that's.
Thank you. It is a bit crazy, but yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way.
I was going to say, would you be doing anything else? Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
So, with regards to your full-time centre, now you mentioned working with Gordon, who a lot of the listeners are very, very familiar with.
Yes.
He's been on a few times, and I'm mentioning him on a near constant basis as well, because he's a great guy. How did you find that experience? Of being where you were with your where do you feel that you were with your sort of business and school at the point, just before meeting Gordon and then obviously working with him? Where was it? Do you feel?
Okay. Well, where I was, and most martial arts teachers or school owners will probably go, "Oh yeah, I felt that as well." I was at this point where I'd been running my business for about 10 years, and I've just leveled off. Yeah. Even though we worked in schools and we advertised in schools, my members are just leveled off. My outgoings were going up. Bills are going up all the time. I'm just thinking, how am I going to make a good living out of this?
Sure.
Without struggling, because it was a struggle, and if I wasn't had a martial arts mindset, I'd have probably given it up. But I just happened to be on Facebook one day, and I saw Gordon doing one of his Facebook lives, and something just hit home with everything that he spoke about. I was feeling,
yeah,
and I'm thinking, God, I'm not on my own, because it is a very lonely place as a martial arts school owner when you're the boss, you're the secretary, you're the first aider, you do everything. It's a very lonely place. And I saw this thing on Facebook, and I'm like, wow, this guy's actually mentioning everything that I'm feeling. At the end of his post, he said, a comment below, there's going to be a Facebook, it was a business mastery course. So I put my name down for it. I thought, I'm not going to learn anything doing what I'm doing now. I've seen this. I've got to change and do something different. So I enrolled on the course.
And the rest is history.
Absolutely.
And what sort of differences have you seen now in that journey, in yourself and obviously within the business?
I think they're not really, I don't really class Gordon as a business coach anymore. I class him, he's a personal coach. He helps you. Once you've developed yourself, your business is going to follow suit. And he's changed me so much. I've got so much more confidence in myself, in the art that I teach, and my business, and everything that fits together with that.
I think one of the really important things, and one of the reasons I was really keen to have you on and to discuss this, is it's still there, and it probably always will be there. And I don't. It's not snobbery. Perhaps that's not the best way to approach it. But there's some sort of pushback against the idea of having a very traditional based art and taking it full time. And the people that will say, well, no, you can't do that. Well, you've done that, and obviously you've maintained the standards and requirements of the art that you teach, a very, very traditional art, and you've managed to take it full time.
Something that I've learned from Gordon is I have two parts of the business. The bit that you see on Facebook that you're advertising, the commercial side of it, is the advertising part. Now, when the students come in and join, they filter through a system to the traditional side.
Yeah.
So we kind of mould them to the traditional side, and then they get ready to join the adults class. And the adults class is the proper system.
Yeah.
So we're filtering them through and preparing them for the adults class. So it's a filtration system, and we're just modelling them to be traditional martial artists, and it works really, really well.
It does, fantastic. So I believe this year is a special anniversary for your martial arts journey, isn't it?
It is, yes, 40 years,
40 years, wow. And what was cool is this morning I then sat down and started trying to work out how long I'd been going for. But,
really?
Yeah, it goes fast, doesn't it?
It does go fast, very fast. I'll be honest, I've had ups and downs in my martial arts journey, but I've loved every minute and won't change a second of it. It's fantastic.
I think that's fair to say that a lot of us have. I have too. Actually, this year is actually 20 years full-time teaching for me.
Wow.
Yeah, 20 years, and it does. One of the reasons for starting this podcast, I wanted sort of a new outlet for my love of the martial arts, because it's not that I don't enjoy teaching. But my concern was, it's 20 years, and I didn't want to start sort of resenting having to open up of an evening. So I thought, well, I want to give myself another focus, an additional thing. Hence, the birth of this podcast.
I think your podcast's brilliant. I really do. It's a great idea, and it's a great way for people to listen to other martial artists as well and learn from them. And if nothing else, it keeps me out of trouble. But what I was going to ask was, for the most part, I'm just waiting for that one episode where the wrong person says the wrong thing, and then anyway, get some disclaimers going. But no, I understand that you've got some plans as well, an event that you've got planned. I wondered if you could just tell everybody your opportunities, just let everybody know about what's going on. Yes, I have a 40th anniversary seminar, which I'm organising in June. And it's the weekend of the 22nd, 23rd of June. We have some amazing instructors coming. The lineup is just unbelievable. I mean, originally I was going to keep it local, just local instructors, but then I sent the message out there, and a lot of high, respectful instructors are coming over to teach for me. And I think I've got probably 13 instructors already. Wow. And we're probably only going to have about 13 or 14 hours teaching over the weekend, so there's not a lot of slots left. And yeah, these people are from Aikido to Jiu-Jitsu, Taekwondo, Balinta walk stick fighting, a bit of MMA. So we've got, quite a lot of stuff going on. Fantastic. So this is something that's open to the wider community then, is it as well? Is it? Yes, it's open to the public. They can come down. My wife's Thai, so she's going to be doing a Thai buffet as well downstairs. So fantastic. There's going to be Thai food on the go. There's going to be, hopefully, an area. I've got a second dojo downstairs, which is a little bit smaller. And I'm hopefully trying to organise Gordon to come down maybe one day and do some chats on business and things like that. So maybe there could be a little place there. So I need to organise that with him first. But yeah. Fantastic. So if people are interested in finding a little bit more, what's the best way for them to do so? The best way would be to contact myself on Facebook, on Messenger. Yeah, Andy Abernethy. Well, you'll be linked in with the podcast notes on the Facebook group, so everybody should be able to see you there. So what's next? Where do you see your school and your teaching going? What vision, what plans do you have? Well, the original vision, and I wanted to add this in actually when you said what made me start teaching children. One of the main things was, as well, is my martial art, Kazarashu, is dying out. Okay. It's dying out in the UK, and I think the only way that something is going to continue is to teach children. Mm-hmm. If you instill something into a child and they carry on with it, they are going to continue the legacy of the art and so on and so forth. So that was one of the main things for me to start teaching children, was to keep the art alive. Absolutely. Now, where do I see myself? I just see myself continually growing, and I want to teach as many children as possible. I'm really keen on. It doesn't matter what martial art, but I do think I would like to see martial art the number one activity for children in the UK. I would love to see that up there. Other than other things that people do out of school hours, it'd be great to see martial arts up there, because it is a fantastic all-round activity for children and adults. Absolutely. I'm in full agreement with that one. What I'd be doing with myself now if it wasn't for martial arts, I have no idea. Exactly, I'm the same. I'm the same, exactly, yeah. Going through school, I remember not having a clue
what I wanted to do, right the way up until the point of university. I'd been doing my martial arts training every day, and everybody else is going off to university. I'm like, what do I actually want to do? I didn't have a clue.
I was the same.
So thank goodness it was here. Otherwise, I don't know what I'd be doing. Maybe I'd be a successful podcast host. Who knows? I don't know what I'd be talking about, though. That's the thing. But no. Well, Andy, thank you very much for your time today. That 25 minutes, half an hour has flown by, as it always does. It goes whizzing. It goes so fast. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to have you on, and I wish you all the best with your school. And I will perhaps try and get down for your event in June.
It'd be great to see if you could make it. And thank you very much for the opportunity of coming on your podcast, and I appreciate that.
Oh, not a problem at all. Thanks for your time.
You're listening to Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast, brought to you by www.onlinekicking.co.uk.
So I really enjoyed that chat with Andy today. It was really interesting to get his insights and experience into opening a full-time centre based around an art that's, well, it's relatively unknown, as he says. It's almost at the point of dying out. So, all credit to him for persevering with keeping the art as it should be, obviously with the slight revision for the children, but for the adults, keeping it as is and managing to make a terrific success of things. So all credit to him. Fantastic to see. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go on to our chat with Mr. Matthew Chapman for our weekly Mat Chat. Get those pens and papers ready. I always say that every week. I know it's so cheesy, but no, get those notepads ready for taking some notes, because this is one of the more popular sections of our show. A lot of positive feedback from it. As always, what I will say before I go to this, if you have any questions that you want me to put to Matt or you want Matt to answer, get them on the new Facebook like page, drop me a private message or an email through the website, and I will happily cover whatever subject it is that you're wanting to go through regarding martial arts business in general with Matt. So without any further ado, let's get over to Matt.
You're listening to Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast, brought to you by www.onlinekicking.co.uk.
Okay, so it's time to speak to Matthew Chapman, as we always do this time every week. How are we doing today, sir?
I'm good, thank you. A bit nippy down here, so
bit nippy.
Not as good as I could be.
Shut those windows.
Now haven't got school anymore. I really should move like somewhere warm and just do this stuff somewhere warm.
Well, you were talking about the cruise thing. You could,
True.
You could just continuously be on a never-ending cruise.
Yeah, it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be nice, wouldn't it? So, what do you want to chat about this week, sir?
I just want to talk about the fact, in my opinion, that it's okay to make money as an instructor, and in fact, it makes you a better instructor.
Get that on a T-shirt. I'd buy one of those. Absolutely. Absolutely, it's okay to make money from being a martial arts instructor.
Well, but some people believe that you shouldn't make money as a martial arts instructor because it somehow taints what you're doing. But in my opinion, the instructors I've trained with, and I've trained with a lot in the last 35 years, the highest quality ones and the ones that have given me the most value and helped me the most are the full-time professional instructors.
Absolutely.
Part of the reason is because they earn sufficient money to support their lifestyle and run their schools, it allows them pretty much to focus exclusively on martial arts.
Yep.
As opposed to maybe working in an office 9 to 5 and then rushing home and getting changed and going to teach a class. And of course, nothing wrong with that. But for me, if you take someone like Dan Inosanto, for example, who's just a living legend and considered by like many one of the best martial artists ever, and very highly respected, doesn't matter what style you are, everyone kind of respects Guru Dan. He has been teaching martial arts at a professional level his whole pretty much life and has a business based around that. Mm-hmm. And he charges for that, and he charges for his seminars and for his time and for his private lessons, and he charges, I assume, plenty. So what that enables him to do is it gives him lots of free time and lots of income to update his own training. So reading one of his training schedules from a few years ago, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
He'd do privates with Machados, then he'd go and study Sistema with an instructor over there, then he'd come back and do some CLAT with another instructor. He's 80 years old and he's training more than 99% of most martial artists at a very high level. And the only way feasibly that he could do that, because he was a school teacher before, was to be a full-time professional martial arts instructor, which allowed him to open a school, get staff in, do training programs, teach seminars around the world. So it's just one example of how making money has created just a phenomenal martial artist who has impacted thousands of people's lives.
Absolutely. And I mean, the thing is as well, since day dot, since martial arts was first founded, and now, before anybody jumps in this, because I know there's people out there that will, yes, I do know that there are some systems that are very heavily against the charging for martial arts, which is fine, but that isn't all of them. But there have been martial arts instructors around forever that in some way, form or another have taken something in return for teaching. Yes. Whether it was money, whether it was food, whether it was whatever it was, bottle of wine. Yes. There's always been an exchange of something for teaching, yes. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think the biggest problem that a lot of people have, and in some ways I think it's an odd one, because it seems to be restricted purely to this industry from looking out. It's this, for a lot of people, it's this worry of, the perception or the judgment that will follow from charging X amount, but you wouldn't go down to the local estate agents or solicitors or whatever and see them querying, I wonder if they might judge me if I charge a higher amount.
No, but I wouldn't use estate agents or solicitors as an example, because everyone hates them.
Yeah, well, okay, fair enough. But they still get the money.
Well, no. They do, yeah.
Okay, so
if you think about where martial arts came from, martial arts, not as in fighting sports, mm-hmm. They came from the Far East, where a lot of the systems were developed by monks who were supported by the monastery and highly respected, and also it was kind of morally dubious for them to obviously charge, but they were given gifts and offerings and food in exchange for training. We're not monks living in a monastery in Tibet anymore. We're people some of us, we're people in the West who actually have to earn a living in order to survive.
Absolutely. I think this is it's tied in nicely to what we were chatting about last week as well. I think it's a case of, if you're being honest, then how do you place a fee on, or a correct, what could be perceived as a correct fee on somebody who's spent years traveling around, a small fortune in fees training with other people? How do you say what's the correct amount to charge for that?
Exactly. There isn't one.
Exactly.
It's all personal. It's all personal choice.
It's relative, isn't it? So yeah. I remember it can be the arguments as well that some will use against charging. Still schools charging $350 a class, which is up to them. Again, it's completely up to them if they want to do it. But I was paying more than that for my class in 1987.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't. My mum was.
Cheers, Mum.
But you see what I mean? It's like how you can't find. I challenge anybody to find anything you can still buy for the same amount today as you could in 1987.
No, but it's their choice, and that's what they want to do. And I'm not. You see, the difference between me and maybe them is they might look at me charging, £15 for a lesson and go, "How much? How can you do that? You're ripping people off." Whereas they charge £2.50, and I wouldn't look at them and go, "Wow, you're not charging enough. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're not valuing yourself enough." I don't judge other people based on what they charge. It's free world, free country. Do what you like. But it seems to be the other way. Like the ones that are hardly charging anything are judging the ones who kind of value their work and give a monetary value to their work. They seem to be a little bit critical of it. So.
And I think it's interesting as well, because I wonder if, and nobody's ever going to, well, it's unlikely that anybody would ever openly admit to it, but I know for sure, really, if you were to turn to somebody who was charging a higher amount and say, would you like to charge less? We're going to go no. But if you were looking at somebody who's charging a lot less and ask them, really, would you like to charge more? There's going to be some of them that will say yes, but.
Yeah, of course.
And
also, here's an advantage of charging more. I know several schools who do this where they have a very high usual monthly rate for the industry, but they also have classes where you can pay what you want, a couple of times a week.
I've heard of
people
that.
Who can't afford maybe the monthly direct debit, so they can just come in and they can pay whatever they like. So that gives them the ability to have an amazing facility and top level staff and everyone trained up to the highest level, but also help the local community by just offering a pay what you like class a couple of times a week.
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it?
I think it was Tom Callis at one point was running a scheme, whereas he had one class out of his schedule a week.
That's right, yeah.
That anybody could attend.
Yes.
And yes, I thought that was a great idea, really.
Yeah. So you can have both in the same school. They're not mutually exclusive.
Cool idea. Food for thought as always.
Thank you.
Are you still busy out on the road?
Yeah, I'm putting in the miles. I don't usually drive because it's not an effective use of my time, and also it's a bit tiring. So I usually try and take trains everywhere. And I've since my amazing first class experience with Virgin Trains, I now try and travel first class if I can afford it, because it's just so much better.
Virgin Trains, if you would like to make that a paid promotion, please feel free to get in touch with us via the website.
Yes, please do, yeah. Richard Branson, if you want to hit me up for a few free first class tickets.
and send me some money, that would be great. It all helps.
But it really, so now I just try and travel by train because I can do some work, I can sleep if I'm tired, it's just much better.
Living it up. One step down from that cruise. You're nearly there.
And then the private jet, right?
Yeah, one day. Who knows? One day.
Waste of money.
Are you still working on that accountability to get on that cruise? You're still.
I'm trying. Yeah.
You remember you said you were going to do it.
Yes, I know. I'll get on it.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks as always, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And I will catch you next time.
Cheers, mate. Pleasure.
Cool.
Enjoy our podcast? Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review Kickback with Chris on iTunes today.
So as always, it's really good to catch up with Matt. Good food for thought, and it's really nice to take this time out, to talk through these. I won't say issues, but things that do come up over and over and over again on Facebook and in discussion with the martial arts instructors. Obviously, cost and pricing is always one that's always one that's going to come up. In fact, just yesterday, I was talking to another instructor about it. Just came up in conversation, and for me, charge what you want to charge. Charge what you feel your worth is, or depending on where you're based in the country or the world. There's lots of different overheads and costs involved. But it's interesting. It comes back to the point I was making right at the start of today's episode about the gradings. I think if you're doing it, if there's a good honest reason for why you're charging what you're charging, even if it's completely transparent, then I don't think the price of what you charge for your teaching is in any way to be looked upon or used to judge you in any way, so long as you're being honest with what you're doing. But I think enough about money and finances for one episode. What we're going to do now is we're going to go over to Andy C for our chat. We were actually discussing this one yesterday on the phone, and we decided what we were going to do is theme the next however many episodes it takes us to cover. I won't put a specific number on it, but we're going to talk about growing your instructor team within your school. Now, I have a smallish school of around sort of 200. No, not around. I should know my stats. It's 197 students at present, and I do most of the work myself. We're about to take on a part-time instructor, and a bit of a inside bit of gossip there or news for the students listed in. But we are looking at expanding and developing an instructor team, but it's difficult. Whereas, as martial artists and instructors, we may, find that role, I wouldn't say easy, but, it's something that comes naturally. But being a business owner and being able to be like a manager as such, it's a very, very different skill, as we've talked to with Matt before in the past. So, I wanted to speak to Andy C about this because he has, well, as you're about to hear, a very, very successful instructor program. So he must be doing something right. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get over to Andy C on the phone and we will catch up on the other side. All right, guys, so join us on the line now. We've got Andy C. How are you going, sir?
Good morning.
You good?
Good morning, world. I think everybody listens around the world, don't they?
Well, yes, it might be good afternoon or evening or, whatever. You never quite.
I suppose, yeah.
You never quite know. International jet setter, Andy C, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Last time we spoke, I was in Slough. Today, I'm going to Guatemala.
Bit of a difference.
Yeah, it's going to be hotter.
A little bit.
Yeah, Slough was quite cold.
You know what? Where is that? I don't even know where that is.
Right, it's...
Geography lesson. Here we go.
It's in Central America.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think a bit lower than Mexico.
Right. Cool. Well, hopefully they'll put a wall up then between now and then, otherwise you might get stuck there.
Oh, no. Well, it's 28 degrees,
Oh,
so I don't mind.
Just stay there. Yeah, a bit better than
It's not very big. I'm just looking here on a map. I thought about this last night. So you got Mexico, Guatemala, Cuba,
all right,
Honduras, El Salvador.
So
Jamaica.
if we have any listeners in Guatemala, you can be ready.
You might have after this. I'll interview someone.
Yeah. Well, actually, funny you should say that. That's something that we were discussing the possibility of, wasn't it? Maybe even be able to do a recording from Guatemala whilst you're there. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
International correspondent. So anyway, let's get on to the point of this chat before everybody turns off. Today,
before it comes to history, geography lesson.
Exactly. Now, we were discussing. I've already set this up just before coming onto the call, but I was mentioning that we were going to talk a little bit about over the next sort of few weeks or so, how to build up an instructor team, which I found difficult over the years, and I know a lot of other school owners have for various different reasons. But I know, obviously, from working with you over the years, that you've managed to build and establish quite an impressive instructor team. With quite high numbers. So I thought no better person to talk on the subject than yourself, really. So where do we start?
Well, I suppose you've got to look at the... obviously, recruiting's a good start, but you've got to look at the ethos of it.
Right.
And, looking at why you need an instructor team, why... what they would do, clear expectations for them, goals and objectives. And they've got to bring value to you, because the worst help is unpaid help, if it's bad help.
Yeah.
So from my point of view, I've always done well at bringing new people in onto the course, picking the right people. Not really advertising it as such, more, having that conversation with them early as well.
Got you.
Which a lot of the stuff we do is, especially on the instructor stuff, is based off of Dave Kovar's instructor manuals and his book, Martial Arts Toolbox. So having that conversation, laying that scene, saying, that you'd be a great instructor. Do you think our instructors have helped you? Would you like to be part of the team?
Okay.
So what we do is every 2 years we do a course, and we don't charge a lot for it. It's I know a lot of schools make a lot of money from leadership programs and stuff, but that's fine.
Yeah,
but building your team, to me, I've got people that are on my team that are awesome instructors now that might not have been able to afford £3,000 for an instructor course. No, if you're listening and you do that, that's fine. You've got more money than I have. Well, that's cool. But everybody does it their own way. We've never really charged a lot for it, because we were more looking at getting quality people to help out.
Sure. And I know this is something that a lot of instructors do go back and forth on, the concept, the idea of do I charge? Do I not? Now I understand where you're coming from with the charging because it puts a value to it, doesn't it? And it separates it from the training.
Charge.
Yeah, you got to charge. Yeah.
We charge £99 for the course.
Okay.
We give them a T-shirt, all the manuals, and all the training for that for £99. So when you take all the stuff off, it's not even £10 a seminar that we do with them.
Right. Got
so it is ridiculously cheap, but it's still got our value. It's I've paid for it, I'm going to do it type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, you're right, and I suppose it's accountability on the other side as well. I suppose if you're doing an instructor training program and it's free, and something comes up that Friday, and you think, oh, you know what, I might not this week. But if you know you've got 10 people on there that have paid for it, then it prompts you to actually think, no, I've got to do this, haven't I? And
follow it through.
Absolutely. So I would say maybe the first topic for this really would be how to select the right people, because I think we can be guilty sometimes, can't we, of just looking in our class and going, they're good, I'll have them, but that might not necessarily be the right thing, I would think.
No, definitely not. It's not always about who's the best martial artist. It does help, great martial artists inspire people. Obviously there's a demonstration side of things, that helps if you've got awesome skills. So we're not saying don't pick the ones who are awesome, but there's also, within any team, you've got to have diversity. Football team, they're not all, it's not 11 strikers. Sure. You need different people in your team. So like our group this time, our new intake is really good because we've got the awesome martial artists. We've got a couple of world champions on our team this time. We've got a couple of guys with multiple black belts who've been training, second, third dan for a long time. We've also got some new black belts. We've also got some non-black belts, to be honest. Sure. High grade, graded around in the next year or so. But we're not training them to be instructors. So it's training instructors. So we normally go from Taekwondo, red, black, and other arts, brown. Okay. And we've got some parents on there.
Okay.
So obviously parents that train, but parents of children, they're the best ones when a kid gets injured in class, the mum runs over, and they're the best ones who are looking after those. We've also got some kids on there. They're the future. They might be looking at, being an instructor one day as a living. It might look good on their CV when they're going to job interviews, university sort of UCAS forms, stuff like that. Yeah. So it's good to have a range of people.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for that. So I think that's a good start point for this. And then obviously we can carry on with this one. And maybe whilst you're away, maybe when you're back, we'll just see how things work out.
We'll set a time zone.
What do you know what the time difference is?
6 hours.
Oh, so it's not too bad then. Not too bad. Well, have a great time as much as you can while you're working out there. And best of luck to your squad that are going to be. How many are you taking out this time? Is it?
Just one.
I knew it was. Yeah. Cool.
Just the only one going from my school. We've also got Harvey from ex martial arts going representing England as well, and then a few others. There was Cole, he was going to be going, but he got injured prepping for it. So we've just got a small group this time. It's the first time they've had a tournament in Guatemala. It's a WKC Pan American Championship.
Wow! So maybe get
some... should be pretty cool events. Some really good fighters going.
Cool. Get some live reports from it, and that'd be cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, have a good flight, and hope it all goes well. And we'll catch you with you soon.
All right.
Awesome. Cheers.
Bye.
You're listening to Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast, brought to you by www.onlinekicking.co.uk.
Okay, so first of all, what I'll say is a big thanks to Andy, as always. But just a quick explanation as to why the audio sounded so ropey on that one. I actually totally forgot that I'd switched the audio settings. earlier today I actually did an interview with Gordon Bertram for his podcast, and I'd totally forgotten that I'd plugged in additional equipment into my system. So the audio channels were actually set wrong. So you were actually listening to my voice from a microphone that was actually positioned across the completely opposite side of my desk. Hence it being a little bit quiet. Lesson learnt. Make sure you unplug all the equipment before doing your recordings. But anyway, hopefully you can still hear what I was saying. And to be fair, the most important thing really was what Andy was saying rather than me. So, a little bit of extra news here now. This is just something that's just popped up on my timeline whilst I was just getting ready to record. Now, I'm sure some of you will remember, and if you haven't already listened to, go back, have a listen to our interview with Mark Strange with regards to the release of Redcon 1. Now, on that, actually, he mentioned with regards to the DVD and Blu-ray release that would be happening this year. Obviously, the recording with Mark was last year. And there is a date now for the release. Now, the film is released nationwide, and you can go into all the different, I would imagine, supermarkets, HMV, anywhere selling and stocking Blu-rays and DVDs. From the 25th of February, you'll be able to go out and buy it. Now, on the 24th, funnily enough, if you've not seen it on the big screen, which arguably is the best way to watch, all films, on Sunday the 24th of February, they are going to be doing a cinema screening at the BFI London. So if you're interested in that one, if you go and look up Redcon 1 on Facebook, or alternatively look up Mark Strange's profile, because the post itself is actually set to open, so you'll be able to see it. They're going to be doing a screening on the 24th of February. Also, if you're interested in picking up a Blu-ray or DVD that's signed on March the 2nd, which is a Saturday, between 10:30am and 5pm at the Printworks in Manchester. The address for that is 27 Withy Grove. That's Withy Grove. In Manchester. They're going to be doing a signing. Mark's going to be there. I'm just going to read this here. So, even better. So they're going to have the director and producer, fight choreographer. So the director being Chi Kyung Chung, and Mark himself being the producer and fight choreographer, and obviously star of the film as well. So those guys are going to be there to sign. I'm just going to read the rest of the details. So you can get the ultimate edition of the Blu-ray and DVD that's going to be available there. They've also got details on there about the Ultimate Fan Edition, which has limited items including a t-shirt, poster, art cards, 48-page collector's booklet. So they're going all out with this one. The Ultimate Fan Edition is limited to just 500 copies. So, yeah, if you want to get one of those signed, that might be a good investment for the future, that one. So, yes, go check that out. Obviously, it's always good to support British filmmaking, and these guys really need our support in order to keep producing these fantastic productions. So coming up next week, now next week's going to be a particularly special episode for us, not because it's episode 31 in particular, but because we've managed to secure quite a big guest. Those of you that have seen on Facebook and Instagram and pretty much anything social media wise, the group McDojo Life, arguably quite a controversial group, depending on what your standpoint is within the martial arts. But it's basically a group that he set up to help. Well, he explains a little bit within the interview, but the premise of it is to help people sort of weed out fraudulent instructors in schools. And let's just say, Rob doesn't hold back. He's really facing this one on head on. Now, he's already been featured on the hit YouTube series Enter the Dojo by Matt Page. Master Ken, everybody knows him as. And he's also been featured on the Joe Rogan show several times now. Joe has picked up, some of his content and actually, on a fairly regular basis, uses the McDojo Live content. So this is a big deal for him now. And, he very, very graciously agreed to give up his time to come and have a chat with us about what he does. So, looking out for that one next week, guys. Also, as I've already mentioned earlier on this episode, this weekend I'm going to be down south at Matt Chapman's a 1,000 True Fans event. So if you're going to be there, please do make sure you say hi. And I'm hoping to have all my recording equipment with me, so even an opportunity to get yourself featured on the show as well. Any questions, as always, you can get me at kickbackpodcast.com, or you can get us through our new Facebook like page. The group is still in use, although, obviously the like pages they just work better within the social media structure of Facebook. And we're also on Instagram and Twitter if you use either of those ones. Just search for Kickback. It's either Kickback Podcast or Kickback with Chris Martial Arts Podcast. Either of those should get you to us. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day, rest of your week, whatever it is you're doing, and I will speak to you all next week.